Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up earlier today with Nicholas Matasek. He is the exchange's youngest CEO. They're 2 days old. So you should be looking for Snowline Gold Corp. Interesting story. They've rolled some assets into a shell. Those assets are up in the Yukon. I've got 7 of them. We talked to them about the fundraising process they've been through, how they're going to spend their money, and what their focus is going to be, more importantly, for shareholders. If you want our thoughts and opinions on that conversation, the company itself, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club. We can also find detailed company reports and analysis, commentary from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities. Really insightful stuff. We've got training courses on there to help you with your own diligence process. And we've done summaries of interviews that we've done just to save you some time because we know you're busy. And there's also a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, friendly, safe environment, free from trolling and abuse. And if that sounds nice to you, and I hope it does, please join them at cruxinvestor.com/club. And we'd love your feedback too. So give us a like if we appreciate it. Leave your comments below. We'll get back to all of you. And if you want to see precisely what we talked about today, do take a look in the description below. Nicholas, how are you doing, sir?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Thanks for joining us. First time we've spoken or heard this story, so I'm looking forward to this one. So where in the world are you? Let's start with that.
I'm in Vancouver currently, visiting family and friends.
Beautiful. Nice part of the world. Well, nice weather.
Beautiful. Of course.
Where are you visiting from, actually?
I live in Toronto.
Right.
Right downtown. So it's nice to get away and see some greenery for a change.
Totally. I totally understand that. Anyway, well, I appreciate you coming on. You have the privilege of being the youngest company that we've ever interviewed. How old is your company?
Well, this is now our second day of trading.
There we go.
We launched yesterday.
Right. Congratulations. Congratulations. Big moment.
Thank you. We started trading under the symbol SGD, Sam Golf Delta, on the Canadian Stock Exchange. Opened at 30 cents, up at 60 now. It's been a great ride already. That's
right. Day 2 though. I'll keep I'll keep your feet on the ground. Don't you worry. It's day 2.
Oh, I know.
Okay. Hey, well, just a favor. Can you start off? Give us a 1-minute overview of what it is that you are, and then I'll kick off with some questions for you. Okay.
Sure. Snowline Gold is obviously a gold exploration company focused on the Yukon. We have an amazing land package, 67,000 hectares across 7 projects. We're in the right part of the world. We have a technical team who can execute. And there's some other great projects, million-ounce deposits in the area, and we're hoping to do the same thing.
Beautiful. Okay, brilliant. So we better start off with the team, okay? Because this is a new company. You've got some pretty big names on the board, advisory as well. So do you want to talk us through who the kind of key players are for you? Who's supporting you?
I'm supported by, first of all, my father, Paul Matasek, is our lead advisor. He's had a lot of success in the industry. He's currently the CEO of GoldX. He sold 5 companies over the last 13 years for almost $2 billion. He's got a great track record. The Snowline portfolio was put together by a father-son prospecting team, Ron and Scott Birdall. Scott is our COO, has great experience in the area. Another advisor is Quentin Henney, who's been involved with a lot of other great deals himself.
Yeah, no, some really big names in there. So in terms of the day-to-day, though, that's you and Scott?
Yeah, I'm the CEO and Scott's the COO. I'm handling a lot more of the public outreach, investor relations, marketing, development, and he'll be running the technical program that we're starting this summer. Right.
Okay. So we better get into maybe trying to understand what you've got at the moment, because it's really early days, right? So understand you've raised some money. You've raised about just over $6 million.
We raised $7.2 million over 2 financings, sort of concurrent with the transaction. Fully funds our summer exploration, and we have some big plans.
You do have some big plans, but you also got a big land package. You've also got 7 targets currently. Yeah. So there's a lot to look at. So with $7 million, you got to get focused real quick. So what should we be looking at?
Well, we're very fortunate that the projects have been privately held for 30 years before, and they've been optioned out. And there'd been $20 million of exploration work already spent on these projects. So we have a fairly good idea of what we're working with. The goal is we have this huge database. We're going to do like some last mapping, some geophysics, and our goal is to be drilling by the middle of the summer.
But what should we be looking at? Because you say you've got a lot of data, and I can believe that $20 million spent, you'd hope so, right? But are you going to be honing in on anything particular? What are you going to be talking to the market about most?
We have a couple targets that we're going to start drilling. Mars Northeast at our flagship Einerson project, and the Gracie target on the Rogue project, which are 30, 40 kilometers away from each other.
Right. Okay. And what do you know about those currently?
There's been a lot of surface sampling, mapping, great results at surface. At Mars Northeast, almost a gram a ton and float on the surface, gold. And at Gracie and Rogue, it was 152 grams as the highest surface sample. So amazing results, good geophysical signatures, supposedly an intact mineralized caprice or carapace above an intrusion with some high-grade potential.
Thanks for that. Let me understand what the 20 million has been spent on. Was that just about consolidating land package? Has there been any drilling? Was there any substance to it?
Of course. There's been trenching data, large-scale soil sampling, geophysics. There's been a handful of drilling. It was held privately by a group that had never really done exploration before. So it was a little bit slapdash. Like they just threw a lot of money at the project and never really had the time to analyze what it all meant. With the trenching and the sampling, mapping, drilling, airborne geophysics, we have a ton of information to work with. And now with the benefit of time and a stronger technical team, we're going to turn that information to results.
Were you tempted at all to kind of keep it private for just a little bit longer so you could actually sort of assess and collate and understand the data which was already existing? Or do you think that had been done to a high enough standard already to allow you to go public? Because the pressure starts. When you go public, the pressure starts. People expect, right?
Yeah. The option had lapsed a couple of years ago, and it reverted back to the Birdalls. And they'd done a lot of that analysis themselves. Scott's a PGO and Masters in Geology. He's worked with Quentin Henney to put together the deposit models. There's definitely been a lot of work from the exploration to where we are now. We're pleased that we can hit the ground running, that we have the money to do the work and the targets to hit.
Right. It's interesting. Like if I look at your dad, Paul, he's a markets guy. He knows how to talk to the markets. And I'm sure he's going to be giving you good advice as to where you need to be focused. And you've also got people like Quentin who's going to be giving Scott advice as to what they should be looking at in the ground. But you've got to get that balance right. So you've got to focus your capital accordingly. So when you're looking at the $7 million, I mean, have you broken that up as in terms of where you're going to be spending time, money, and effort?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the lion's share is going to go to the flagship projects, Rogue and Einerson, the vast majority, and then just smaller amounts spent on the other 5 projects: Tosh, Cliff, Ursa, Rainbow, just to keep them moving along at a decent rate. But the sampling and the mapping and the drilling will all be in Rogue and Einerson.
Right. So to that point, you've got to show the market that you know how to create value, right? So if you look at Einerson, what exactly are you going to do? Where are you going to take it from today? And what are you going to come back and next report to the market?
Well, it is the Yukon. There's only not a short period, but like half a year where you can effectively work. It's not the cold. It's unfortunately the length of day. So we'll be ready like early May, late April, to get onto the ground. We have these targets. We just want to prove out a bit more to set up the drilling. The geophysics will target the drilling. And of course that we anticipate some good results, and we'll use that to keep us going for the next season.
But what does good results mean to you? I mean, because obviously it's going to be subject to what you do. You have to come back, present that in the best possible way. So what do you hope that looks like? I
hope that we get some high-grade gold intersections. We have some very prospective geology. We have sort of 5 key target areas for Carlin-style mineralization, and the upper reaches of an orogenic gold system. It was decent results over 20 meters, like half a gram over the 20 meters. We're looking at something a little bit more prospective. It's been shortened, so you should have higher concentration of gold.
Right, and if I'm looking at that region, because you talk about Selwyn Basin, it's elephant country, right? You mentioned earlier, surrounded by some good names, some big resources up there. Are they all of that orogenic nature, or is it a kind of mixed bag?
There's a few deposit types through that Tintina gold province. You have reduced intrusion-related gold deposits like Fort Knox. And then you also have deposits like Newmont's Coffee and ATAC resources are probably our closest neighbor, and that's more Carlin-style mineralization. We're fortunate that in our large land package, we have all the potential for all these different types of deposits.
Right.
Especially at Rogue, that's sort of this very clear geophysical signature of a reduced intrusion-related gold system.
So who should we be looking at in terms of the work? Are you going to be emulating the same processes or style of exploration as some of the other names up there? Can we look for a kind of a peer, as it were?
The closest analogy at this time is going to be ATAC resources. There's differences in the geology and sort of our approach to dealing with the community. We really want to work with all our stakeholders and build real genuine relationships. Geologically speaking, a lot of what they're dealing with is dipping and relatively thin. Ours is more compressed and like flat lying, making anything we find hopefully more economic to actually extract.
So explain that to me. So there's the kind of the Carlin trend, which is, I guess, relatively well known, is what style? It's
like finely disseminated gold in carbonates as sort of like replacement. Huge bulk tonnage. It's commonly seen in Nevada, like Betsy Post. Like they're massive mines. Billions of years ago, the North America looked much different, and the Yukon is actually much closer to where Nevada is now. So it's a similar kind of geological environment.
Right. So there's this whole orogenic component, because there's a lot of it around.
Yeah, there's a lot of faulting. There's a lot going on. All these terrains being accreted onto each other, deep-seated sort of intrusions, mobilizing a lot of gold. And you see that throughout the district and other million-ounce deposits.
And I've noticed some pretty high grade, grab samples, or I think you referred to one here as 25.2 grams of float grab. You're like, that's, I guess again, is that typical of orogenic, where you're going to get these high grade veins along with this bulk component? Not
as much. We're very fortunate there's these higher grade zones within it. Normally they're all bulk tonnage, but we do have these high grade zones, and that's part of what the focus is for early on in the summer, is trying to get those, because that will be our target for what we're going for right now.
Right. Okay. So that's the Einerson Mars zone. The names are fantastic. Why is it called that?
I came in a month ago, so I'm not sure. I don't know the entire genesis of the names.
Right.
There are a lot of sort of mythological names. ATAC Resources has Osiris and Conrad. We have Mars, Venus. I guess they're all, planets.
Yeah.
Even that's Greek mythology itself.
Yeah, Greek mythology. And they're running out of names by then.
Yeah.
for sure. And so talk to me about the way that this has been set up, because obviously there's some pretty big names in there. It's day two, but you were able to raise the money relatively, I'm going to assume relatively easily.
It's a great time for gold. There's a lot of demand for it. The technical team and the advisory team commands a lot of respect. I think people listen when they get involved in something, and they have been engaged in a very significant way. And I think that our ability to raise that money, I think, was a testament to that. and their reputation.
So I wanted to get into what's in your head in terms of what it is that you've set out to do day one. What type of business are you? Are we project generating? Are we true explorers? Do you imagine yourselves, at some point, doing earning deals, JVs, etc.? I mean, in terms of a business model, what are you thinking about?
Our goal is to drill our flagship projects, Rogue and Einerson, and prove out a resource and see where that takes us. We have a portfolio of 5 other projects. There's going to be a lot of potential to how we proceed with that, whether it's we develop ourselves or we look for partners. There's with this package, we have a lot of options in front of us.
Yeah, you do. I mean, 62,000 hectares worth of options, right? So at some point, you're going to have to continue to deliver value on your flagship projects for sure. But at some point, it would make sense to maybe look at how you're going to finance all of this.
Yes.
You don't need to do it anytime soon.
And of course, we only have so much bandwidth that we have to focus on what the important things are.
Right. Okay.
So we do have lots of data, and it'll be about analyzing that and see what makes the most sense for us.
Right. Okay. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is like that gives we saying today that it's going to give you some future optionality in terms of money coming in or being able to bring in the right sorts of partners. Because it's always difficult with a small entity when you're just starting off. You're out of the gate at 14 million, not too shabby, for where you are. But people need to understand what they're buying into. How do you create value? How do you, build this company, and what do you need to do to be able to deliver that value? So, drilling $7 million, nice. Then what?
We're trying to prove out this new gold district, the Selwyn Basin. There's these great deposits throughout it. We have these other sort of secondary projects that we can use in conjunction with that. We'll capture that value, ideally through pushing them a little bit farther down the line, finding the right partners to come in and to work with, and using that money to just create this strong presence in a new district that has great neighbors already.
Okay, so where's the money come from? I noticed that management sitting on 12%, insiders 18%, so that's not too shabby. 30%. Where's the rest of the money coming from? Institutions
and high net worth individuals.
Right.
There's a tight network out of the gate. Keith Neubauer was a big part of putting this together. He has great friends, as does Paul. They both brought in a lot of interesting people who love the story and understand the story, understand that potential in the area. And those are sort of been our biggest buyers so far.
Right. Okay. So I've got to ask you this. Okay. So you're a young guy, relatively young guy. You've not run a public company before. You need to show that you're in control. So to do that, you must have a very clear vision about how you're going to go about growing this company. Do you have that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fortunate. I've watched my father run public companies for the last 20 years of my life. We have a great set of advisors, and my goal is to keep moving this project along. We have amazing assets that I need to explain to the market. I need to unlock that value, rely and listen to all the people who have done this before. And it's about managing those expectations. We're going to create this cornerstone. We're the cornerstone player in this new gold district. And it's about telling the story about all this potential that we have in this area, in our huge land holdings, or 62,000 hectares. It's going to be unlocking that. It's going to be de-risking these projects. It's going to be proving out the resource. We have a finite amount of financial resources to develop it, and it's about deploying that effectively. And being laser focused on moving these projects forward. We're, in some ways, we have our 7 projects, and it's going to be about focusing on the one that creates the most value for our shareholders. And a part of that is going to be working with the communities in which we operate, having good relationships and solid, meaningful relationships with the Indigenous people in the area and the local communities in the Yukon. I'm very happy that we have Scott based in the Yukon. He grew up there. His father, they both lived there for a long amount of time, and they have those local connections. And I think that's really important for operating in the Yukon. It's within Canada, but it's still a unique area, and it's a lot of local knowledge, and we want to be able to use that effectively.
No, it's almost critical. I mean, it's not just ESG, these people like to throw that phrase around. It's, you've got to get the buy-in locally for sure. And, I think you're right to focus us on that. And like I say, Scott's actually based there. It's quite nice.
Yeah, especially during this COVID time, there are currently travel restrictions, a 2-week quarantine for non-essential travelers, and having this base already gives us a huge leg up on the competition, that we have this technical team there. We have these connections to be able to execute on our program.
Okay. Well, Nicholas, thank you for coming to tell us your story. We're really keen to hear this story because it's new. You haven't quite started with a clean slate because you've inherited this ton of data and all this work that's gone on before. I'm intrigued to see how you get on. So will you come back? Back and keep us up to date. Let us know how things are moving.
Yeah, we have some exciting developments over the next couple months, and I'd be really happy to come on again and tell you more about it, our progress, and where we're going.